just go over some other situations about how you should move on the court, where you're supposed to be standing. Other kids that were here when they were your age, Venus, Serena, Capriati, Sharapova, Moschina, Pierce, people that did a lot of the things that I want you guys to pick up and talk a little bit about competitiveness. But one of the things I want everybody to understand, there's not a wrong way or a right way. There's a better way, okay, to hit the tennis ball. And there's a more optimal way to hit the forehand and backhand. And what I want to get into today is more about the forehand. And everything that we're going to talk about is backed up by science. It's a fact, okay? It's all related to physics. What I mean by that, how certain things are set up and where the racket is set up. When you do certain things, it's going to cause other things to happen. All right, so it's all fact. And, by the way, the best players in the world, especially on the men's side, do the exact same thing. Through all the research that Brian Gordon has done, okay, who's a biomechanist, and he's done this for a long, long time, through all his research and the methodology that we put together, okay, this is pretty much the standard. This is really what is more cutting edge that a lot of people who teach the game are trying to follow, because we've kind of got a blueprint out there, and it's pretty much gone global about what's going on. Everybody can say, hey, Nadal's doing this and Federer's doing that, and look how they put spin on the ball, or look how they're doing this or that. But to know exactly what's going on, okay, is the key. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain it to you very crystal clear. And if you can get some of the pieces, or you can get some of the parameters about what we're doing here, it's huge. I can tell you one thing. As you get older, and the balls come faster and quicker, with more spin, you're going to want to hit the ball on the rise. You're going to be taking the ball a lot earlier, and I guarantee the ball's going to be coming a lot quicker and faster when you get older. So any of you that have like a bigger swing, or your elbow goes in the wrong position, we're not saying you couldn't pull it off when you get older. It's just more difficult. And I think everybody here agrees, if you watch Nadal hit his forehand, not the follow through or anything like that, it has nothing to do with this. And Federer, and Djokovic, and Verdic, or Roddick, or you look at any of these guys that hit the forehand, their forehand looks a lot different than Serena, Sharapova, Wozniacki. They hit the ball different. Not that that's wrong. It's just that the guys, the ball's coming a little faster, it's coming a little quicker, there's more spin on it, they want to hit the ball on the rise, and that's what's coming down the road. So what we're showing you is the most optimal way. That means the most efficient way to hit the forehand ground stroke. And the bottom line is, you can't dispute it, it's backed up by science, it is what it is. Now to do it, that's a whole different thing, and all the little details involved. But the beginning of the stroke, and this is what's interesting. People used to think how you prepare to hit the ball was more like an individual characteristic or an individual thing of each player. And it still is. People kind of take it back a little differently. But it's interesting how it really influences the next part. So if the preparation, if the beginning of the stroke isn't right, if you don't really get to A, you don't get to B. And if you don't get to B, you're not getting to C. And if you don't get to C, it's hard to turn the racket back over the other way. Let me explain. Everything I'm going to tell you is this. We're going to make your stroke shorter, and we're going to make it faster. So, if someone said, hey, I can make your stroke shorter, and I can make it faster, and you're playing a game when the balls come 40, 50, 60 miles an hour when you're older, I'd say, I want that one. Okay, that's the one I'd want. We're not saying you couldn't do it another way. It's just going to break down a little bit more. You're going to have people tell you, your elbow's too close. You're too late. Look at Federer. He gets his elbow here. Or look at this guy. Let me tell you, it just happens because of how it's all set up. It's how this whole thing sets up that determines what's going to happen. Look how far out in front this guy hits it. This guy hits it like that. Sure, it could be your footwork, but it's mechanics. And that's all I'm going to talk about today is the forehand mechanics. Forget the grip. We're not really talking about that right now. Even though how you hold the racket, it orientates the racket face. That means it changes the racket face.